Hi, I wanted to talk about something that's way more personal than what I normally talk about. Well, I guess it's controversial, but not personal. This one's going to be very personal, and I didn't really want to talk about this, but the reason that I'm going to is because I think maybe it could help somebody somewhere who's going through the same thing, and maybe they could see this and know that, it does get better, sort of, that you will, get out of that situation and everything. So, it's going to be about me coming out. I never really came out, I never really just said that I was gay and I just kind of subtly implied that I was gay and then just kind of, hit rock bottom from there. There's always, two forms of coming out. It's either, a good coming out or a bad coming out. And I feel like mine was bad. Positive reaction or negative reaction. Mine was probably a negative reaction. It started when I was in public high school. I've never gone to public high school until I was in, freshman year. I had always been homeschooled, always. So that was, a really huge deal since our family was, really religious about Christian things. And they thought public school was kind of weird and, teaches evolutionism, and it was not really sure why they wouldn't let me go, but they did, and I loved it. I was a very school-oriented kid, and I was really good at school, and I got A's and everything, and I was never a bad kid either. I never really did anything bad. I never did drugs or went drinking or anything. And while I was there, I learned about met my first gay person, and I think I found that there was another side to the story. There was the Christian side of why being gay was wrong, and I saw the other side of why it wasn't wrong. And I felt like that was the better side. It made more sense to me, all these people are just people, why can't I just like these people? And I adamantly said I was straight throughout that whole thing. I was okay, I think gays are okay, but I am straight. I'm straight. And I feel like my friends said that I reiterated it too much. I was saying it a little too much to just be confidently straight. It was I was trying to pressure myself into being straight, and I kept no, I'm straight. And I kept hammering it into myself. And then I met a trans person. I don't think they were transgender. They were more gender fluid. And I convinced myself that I was only in love with the boy side of this person. That I was just in love with that boy person. And later on they asked me, well, if I was a girl, if I wasn't even slightly a guy, would you still date me? And I was yeah. And then I was oh crap, that means I'm gay, because I would want to date her just as a girl. And that kind of threw me through a loop. I was really confused at that point, and I really did love her a lot, but I didn't understand what was going on. She was very nice about it, and she was you don't have to rush into anything, you don't have to do anything, you don't even have to hold my hand, I won't tell anybody that we're dating unless you want me to tell them that we're dating. And that was really helpful. It was really helpful not to feel pressured by anybody else too, because I was already conflicted by so many different things that it was really important that she was taking it very slow with me. But she was finding out her gender and later just came out as just female, and I was still dating her, so that made me very gay, and it was really scary for me. And later on we broke up, and I started dating this other person who I dated for a very long time. And while I was dating this person, I don't know why I thought this, but thought it would be really important to tell my very Christian parents that I was dating her. She had actually come over to my house a lot of the time. I just said she was my friend, and they loved her. They thought she was so nice, and they're like, oh, she's so polite. And I was like, oh, thank you, and she's my best friend. And I think there was hints here and there that I was dating her, and they'd said that. They kept asking, they're like, is anything going on? And I'm like, oh no, nothing's going on. We're just friends. Very friendly. And that kept going on, and I felt like it was necessary to tell them. And I don't know why I thought that was going to end well, but it really didn't. And one day we were driving to school, and we were like almost there. It was probably like 10 feet away from the school, and I was like, how would you feel if I dated a girl? And that's when she flipped out. That was my mom. She just flipped out. And she was like, well, you can't date a girl. You can't do that. And then, like, we were already at school, so I just kind of got out of the car. And that was bad. That was basically my whole entire coming out, is just saying, well, what if I did date a girl? And that was basically all the confirmation they needed that I was dating that person. And they got really, really upset. This was actually, in the school year, this was very, very close to summer break. So it was probably like in May or something, I don't know. And super close to summer break, and this was probably one of the last days that I was going to school. And that day at school, I told my friends that I was gay, and everybody was just kind of like, yeah, we already knew that. And I was like, oh, well, I am. But, I think I came out as just gay, or I came out as bisexual, but I did still like guys. That was very confusing for me, too, because I didn't know, like, I was like, well, I still feel things towards men, but is that just, like, some part of me thinking that I have to like men still? Or is it that I actually like men? But I did. I actually like men. And women and everything in between. And I told my friends, they were okay with it. And then coming home that day was very, very bad. Because that, like, my mom had probably been stewing about this all day, like, thinking, oh crap, my child's gay. And they had called the pastor of our church and everything, and they were, like, talking about it. And I think we sat down and talked about how that was very wrong, and I shouldn't talk to her anymore. I wasn't allowed to bring her around, and all of that. And then, like, for the week following that, of course, I kept dating her because I wanted to. And I would just see her at school, and we would talk at school, and it was really nice. But then summer break came, and I wasn't allowed to see her at all, and it got, like, harder at that point. I was only allowed to see a few people because they were like, well, is this person encouraging you to be gay? And I was like, well, they're all supportive of that fact, so... But supportive and encouraging was kind of the same thing to them. So, at the very end of summer, I've been asking the whole entire year, or like the whole summer break, when my schedule was coming, because they like mail you your schedule for the next year, and it will tell you all your classes and when like school is going to start, the exact day. And all my friends had already got it. And my parents, every time I kind of brought it up, they just didn't really say anything, or they changed the subject really quickly. But they kept insinuating that I was still going to go, but they just didn't tell me where my schedule letter was. And I was like, well, everybody already got theirs, and it's like a week from school time. I'm like, this is getting pretty down to the wire if they're going to want to actually do this. And then my parents, I think my stepbrother, my sister, all sat down with me and told me that I'm not going to be going back to high school. Actually, I'd been in high school for like 2 years at this time, so I was a sophomore. And they told me I wasn't going to go back to high school, and I actually wasn't going to be homeschooled because my mom worked too much for me to be homeschooled. So I was going to go to a Christian private school that was actually pretty close to our house. Whew, I was really upset at that point, as you can imagine, because this is like, it's not like a friendly Christian private school. That was a very, very strict, really, really messed up Christian private school. They were really messed up people. Not to be rude, but they really were. They were really mean about it. They were kind of like, join us or you're going to die, and it was very horrible being there. And I knew it was going to be horrible, especially for me going there as a gay person. And they all knew that because my mom told them that before I even got in. So it was like I was already going to have that on me, and the teachers already knew and everything, and it was going to be really bad. And I was so upset. It was like the first time I ever yelled in my lifetime, and I was like, why did you want to do this to me? I already can't see any of my friends. I can't be with my girlfriend. Like, what more do you want to take away? And I knew that was just going to be so shitty going to that school, and it was so shitty. And I think I said something, I think I said that I wanted to kill myself, or there was some insinuation that I wanted to kill myself. And they called crisis control, they got me into a mental hospital. Going to that mental hospital was actually a really, really good thing in my life because almost every single person there was really supportive of the fact that I was gay, and I feel like I needed that. I needed especially adults to tell me that, so it wasn't just, because that's one of the things that they taught us was just, oh, this is like a teenager trend, and it's wrong for you, and you're going to grow up and you're going to regret this so much. And I went there and there were so many supportive people, and it was really, really nice. It was really like just what I needed at that point. And then I got out of there. I was dreading getting out of there because I knew I was going to have to go to that school as soon as I got out, and I did. I think they like postponed my enrollment because they still very much wanted me at that school, but they knew I was in a mental hospital at the time. So, I went to that school. It was really, really horrible. Like, at that point, I feel like I hit a very low point in my entire life. I wasn't allowed to see any of my friends. If I couldn't walk anywhere. I couldn't be by myself, basically. I couldn't be by myself at all. I either had to be at school or I had to be with my parents. The most I ever left the house was to go to the grocery store with my mom, and she like had to keep me in her sight all the time, and I wasn't allowed to see anybody or talk to anybody or leave. So basically I just sat at home all day or would go to this Christian school. And at the Christian school, I was at such a low point in my life. I was so, I just had given up. Like, I usually love school, and them telling me that I was wrong all the time, or like, they made like a lot of gay jokes too. Like, they would just say that being gay was like a joke. It was just a joke to them. It was hilarious that somebody would want to do that, and I was that person, and they still made jokes like that around me. And I know the teacher knew. I don't know if the students knew, but the teacher definitely knew, and she would make jokes like that too. And I used to draw things on my papers, or just draw things in my notebook, and the teacher would see them and call them demented drawings, and that they were symbols of like hell, and that it was obvious that I was very messed up. One time she even went so far as to say that I was the devil, that I had the devil inside of me, and that like the devil was controlling me to be gay and to not want to do schoolwork. I was very like, I basically just laid there. Like, I would kind of listen to the lecture, but I just really didn't care. I would keep telling my parents that I didn't have homework, even though I did. I would never do my homework. I was failing every single one of my classes, like bombing every single one of my classes, and I really just didn't care. Like, that meant so much to me in high school, in public high school. Like, if I was even near failing, like if I failed a test, I would be crying. But like, I was just at such a low point, I didn't even care anymore. And almost every single day, the teacher, who was kind of like the vice principal, and my teacher would lecture me about how I'm dragging all of my friends to hell, and that this was such a selfish decision for me to make, and that I deserved bad things because I was gay, and I deserved to go to hell, and I was going to go to hell, and I was going to burn in hell, and I was never going to be happy ever again. And all the things that I thought that I was happy, it was just the devil possessing me into thinking that all these sins were happiness. And it just, like, I was a Christian at that point, so that was horrible to go through. It was horrible for somebody to take my own religion and to throw it back at me like that, and to say that I was going to suffer so much just because of how I was. And it was horrible. And I usually I had like 2 of those a day, 2 lectures that were at least an hour or 2 long, because normally I would miss periods because of that. Like, I'd have to miss math and geometry or whatever because somebody was lecturing me and yelling at me, and my like only motivation, or the only thing that I really thought about during that whole time, was that I couldn't cry at school. I tried to make that a rule. I did a couple of times, but I tried really hard not to cry at school. I would try to hold it in, but sometimes when somebody's just screaming at your face about how you're going to hell, and it was even worse that they would tell me that I was going to make my friends go to hell because now they were encouraging me to be gay, and all my friends were going to go to hell too. That was really hard for me. Like, I was almost okay with me just going to hell, but the people that I really cared about and loved going to hell made me really upset. I totally lost my religion at that point. I was kind of hindering on Christianity, like I didn't really know how I felt about it, but then I just totally fell out of that. It was a horrible time for me. I tried to kill myself, I think, like 5 times. Like, seriously tried to. Not just thought about it. I seriously tried to at least 5 or 6 times, like, during that. I think it was only like 3 months that I was there because I failed out of every single class. And I also had to wear a uniform every single day, which I hated. I hate uniforms, if you didn't know that. I hate it. And I had to, like, keep my hair long. Normally I had it, like, short and colorful, but they said I had to have feminine hair, so I had to grow it out really long. I didn't know this at the time, but I think I was really dysphoric about that, because I had to wear a skirt every single day, and I had to wear really, really long brown hair, and everybody really wanted me to, like, appear as a female, and it made me really upset. Like, I feel like that was probably part of the reason. I failed out of every single class, and then I had to leave that school because I failed out of every single class. Not really sure what happened after that. Oh yeah, I went to public school, kind of like online school, and I went to online school, and sometimes I would go to a place that had my online school, like, it was like a computer lab, but everybody was there, so it was kind of like public/online school, and I had access to the internet there, but I don't think my parents thought, well, this is a classroom. The teacher would probably get angry if I was on the internet doing something else. They didn't. The teacher really didn't give a shit what I was doing. So I actually really cared about school at that place too, because I had so many nice friends there, and it was a really nice environment, and I started really caring about school again. So I actually was doing really good in that class, but I also talked to my friends on the internet, and I found out near that time that my girlfriend had cheated on me, the one that I had been with for a really long time, about 2 years. She had cheated on me like almost every single day. It was a lot. And that was really crushing, especially with, not being able to do anything else. She was kind of like, I put her on a pedestal of being my goal once I was able to actually do things again. Once I wasn't needing like a mentor or a babysitter to sit there and make sure I wasn't talking to my friends or looking at my friends or making some weird sign to my friends. Like, she was my goal that someday we would be together, and that was going to make it all worth it. So losing that was kind of like, well, I don't really know if it's ever going to be worth it. And that was really hard. Really, really, really hard. I had a very deep depression time, and I think I actually had a lot of anxiety too that I didn't really acknowledge or understand. So I had a lot of panic attacks, but I didn't understand that I was having a panic attack. I just thought, I don't know, I would feel really sick, and I had a job at that time with my parents, of course. It was at the place where my parents worked, and they would always watch me while I was there, but I would always have panic attacks where I couldn't work anymore, and I had to sit down, and I would go in the bathroom or something because they would get angry if I stopped working. But it was something horrible was happening, and I was just having constant panic attacks because of that. And throughout this whole thing, I kind of saw her sometimes. I would kind of see my friends at points. Sometimes if I was at the grocery store, I'd see them across the way and wave, but I would try to make sure my mom didn't see me waving. But that was basically it. Sometimes I would run away. I think I ran away a total of 3 times, and the cops were involved every single time. I think at the 3rd time, at the very end, they told me if I ran away again, I'd be arrested, and that they could actually take me to juvie for running away. And so I stopped running away at that point. But it just kind of made everything worse, because I was going through such a deep depression and struggling with so many things inside of me, and I had no friends to talk to, I had nobody to relate to. It was just me. It was just a very lonely time just for me. One of my friends was trying to get me emancipated, and I was trying to find the paperwork to do that, which was really awesome, but it was really hard on me. And once my girlfriend broke up with me, I was basically just crying every single day. That's kind of pathetic to say, but I did. I cried a lot. I felt like I had... Why do I sound so I'm choking on something? I felt really alone, and I didn't have anyone. Later on, I actually met another person who was a guy, who actually I live with right now. I was kind of hesitant to like him, but we dated for, I think it wasn't very long before I actually went to go live with him. I think it was 6 months, and then I turned 18, which was such a beautiful time. Oh my god, it was amazing. Turning 18 and realizing that it was over, being able to walk outside and I saw the guy that I was dating and I got in his car and I wasn't afraid. Like, I wasn't afraid to be seen with him. That was such a nice feeling. Like, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't make me go back inside. I could be with my friend and nobody could say otherwise. I could just be able to be with my friend and just enjoy a day of hanging out. And that was amazing. It wasn't super easy after that, but it got better. It really did get better. I can do what I want now. And that was really amazing. Obviously, afterward, I shaved my head. And I don't regret that at all. I keep shaving my head for that reason. And I got a piercing. And I was actually able to express myself outwardly the way I felt inside. And I could actually explore my gender and sexuality. And it was a very freeing. I actually had a lot of trauma from being in that place for so long, and a lot of other things happened, but I'm not going to talk about that. But I had a lot of trauma from that, so now I have a lot of anxiety and problems with that. But I feel like it was so infinitely worth it to be able just to walk outside and look like this, like wear a man shirt and wear my hair in a man way and have gauges and look like I wanted to look and hang out with the people that I really loved and who supported me. It was very much worth it. And I really wanted to say that for anybody who was in some kind of situation where they couldn't be themselves, where they had to not be with their friends and felt really trapped. I definitely felt really trapped and alone because I was alone every single day, but I felt very alone, like it wasn't going to get better and like I was the only one going through that and that nobody would understand, or that I didn't think that I was ever going to be able to express myself the way I wanted to, and it's really nice that I can, that it got this much better. And I just wanted to say that. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that no matter what they're going through, it's not going to be permanent. It's going to get better someday. And that was a total of like 2 or 3 years that I went through this whole thing. So it was a very long time that I had to stay in there and not be able to see anybody and have to deal with all of that. It was very, very hard on me. But even after 3 years, I want to say 18 years because it was my whole life that this was happening, but it was very, very, very bad for 3 years. Even after that long, it still got better. It doesn't matter how long it happened. In the end, it did get better, and I'm in a better place. Me and that guy aren't together anymore, even though I still like him, but he's still my best friend, and I live with him right now, and it's actually really nice living with him. And that's my dog, who's being an asshole. And it's nice just being able to be me, because he's really accepting of me wanting to be, agender and all that, and appear agender, and sometimes I like being a guy, and I can just dress however I want, and it feels so wonderful. So it is going to get better, and everything's going to be okay. It doesn't seem like it. Sometimes it seems really scary and like nothing's going to get better, but it will. And someday you will be able to be exactly who you are, and people will accept you for it, and you will live in a safe place where you can safely be yourself. That is so worth saying because everybody needs to know that. I hope this helps somebody. I really do. And this is a very, 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 very long video, but I hope this helps somebody find some kind of peace. And I love you all. So subscribe if you want more of this. Wait, look at my dog. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, bye.